J.D. Vance says women should stay in violent marriages and that pregnancies resulting from rape are simply inconvenient.
And it's so odd. I mean, there's a bunch of it that, like, it gets jumbled up. When you think past, like, the end of your nose, you can clearly see how weird and contradictory their bullshit ideas are. But, you know, they believe that welfare subsidizes poor women, namely, and what they review as low IQ, meaning genetically inferior. Whenever you hear them say low IQ individual, they mean either you're genetically inferior because you're of color, or you are a white person of lower class and genetically inferior. You're not from a royal kind of family. You're Irish, for example, and you're part of that low IQ, low gene pool kind of stuff. And that they believe welfare subsidizes that. But at the same time, you know, we're trying, you know, the child tax credit, for example, which would, in some ways, I guess, in their, you know, logically following it, subsidize well-to-do, higher genetic pool, higher IQ people to have kids because they can afford them, because they take better care of them. That's the idea. J.D. Vance is both for it and against it. His whole bullshit, the weirdest part about his bullshit about, you know, that we should, that people with kids should pay less in taxes and they should have more votes.
This country has become too anti-family. It's too expensive to afford a house. It's too expensive to afford groceries. Donald Trump and I want to change that.
You're like, motherfucker, why are you against the child tax credit then? Why are you? If that's what that is. They are paying less in taxes. You get a child tax credit. Right.
If you care about children, you would have the child tax credit. If you care about children, you would vote for paid family and medical leave. If you care about children, you would make sure that you voted for bills that would make it so at least businesses big enough to afford, you know, make your cutoff wherever you want. But the point is, though, so businesses could have flexibility for moms, maternal leave, paternal leave, you know, sick days, all these sorts of things. The issue here is, of course, that this has nothing to do with that.
Folks, Donald Trump appointed the Supreme Court justices who got us into this mess. His Project 2025 goes even further. Here's the thing. Trump and Vance simply don't believe in your freedom. Trump says people are absolutely thrilled that women have their basic rights eliminated. J.D. Vance says women should stay in violent marriages and that pregnancies resulting from rape are simply inconvenient. Their policies give rapists more rights than their victims. That's not inconvenient. It's just plain wrong.
They can't say out loud what they really mean, or even when the white replacement theory stuff, they always blame it on immigrants because they won't get called racist for that, even though they should be, by our media. They won't come out and just say it's not immigrants, it's anybody who is not white. And you know, give that unbelievable, horrific, you know, walking exoskeleton, Ann Coulter, that ghoul, the credit she deserves for the fact that besides showing who she was with Gus Walls recently, that when she sat there across from Vivek Ramaswamy, she looked that jackass in the face and said what we all know to be the truth, which is, no, I like your ideas. I wouldn't vote for you for president because you're not white. She was actually honest about it. And most of them, who don't have the guts to do that will not be. But that's, in the end, this whole fight. Abortion, birth control, school lunches, it all comes down to a very simple
actually speaks
white
to
male fragility, scared of our country becoming.
But that also speaks to why they've had a slight rise in Latino support, is because there are, all through South America, like groups of Cuban Americans and certainly Spanish people who view themselves as white versus the other people, like what is effectively the racial caste system in South America. The people who move
the ones
here
that came
with money,
from Europe, who are still closer, who still have more of the European. I saw it when I went to Ecuador and spent some time there.
And those people come here.
Met some families that were
to start business. They're Catholic Europeans as far as they're concerned. They consider themselves white, even if Trump wouldn't, even if his own people wouldn't, even if his own people look at their last name like Nunez or Cruz and speak and kind of wink
Fuentes.
and the nod. Right. wink and a nod, right? They still, that's what that whole what non-white Latino means, because there's a big chunk that's white Latino. That's the idea, is that you're also Latino, but you're white. You consider yourself white. That is the chunk that Trump has gained with. Those are the people who like
also
Rubio,
the ones he can turn against and say,
yeah.
He also in the way that he can say, you came here legally and you worked hard, and they're just sneaking in and don't care, as if, you know, again, as if they're not coming here, the people that are, which, by the way,
you can afford to come here because you got
down.
money. You can afford to abscond from your native country and all that kind of stuff, and you can afford to move to America because it's an opportunity for you. Versus the people who have to basically crawl here, who come across the border, they view themselves as different from those people.